The West Fargo Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Tuesday, August 11th. First order of business is call to order, and if we could do a roll call attendance vote, please.
Commissioner Schwan? Here. Commissioner Amon? Here. Commissioner Weary?
Here.
Chair Thorstad?
Here.
I see Vice Chair Gust over there. Commissioner Fornes?
Here.
Commissioner Kopp?
Here.
Thank you.
Try one more.
Mr. Gust is here.
Commissioner Gust?
Present. Traffic and construction.
Yeah. All right, item B on the agenda is, item C is the, B, I'll get this right yet. Order of agenda, do we have any additions, changes, corrections? Seeing none, move to approve, do we have a second?
Second.
I got a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item C is the approval of the minutes from the July 14th meeting.
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve by Chris. Anyone care to second?
I'll second.
A second by Morgan. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, on the regular agenda, first item is a public hearing. A26-13, Hope Lutheran Edition, a request for a conditional use permit, CUP, for an illuminated sign in a residential district and increased sign size for institutional identification at 4905 9th Street West, which is Lot 1, Block 1, Hope Lutheran Edition. Lisa.
Thank you. This application was received in order to allow for an illuminated sign in and facing a residential district, as well as an increase in size for institutional signage. The proposed monument sign would be 12 feet high with two panels consisting of a 72-square-foot internally lit LED sign with the Hope Lutheran logo and channel letters with the name, information on service times, and the website, similar to Hope Lutheran's other churches in the area. With an additional 48-square-foot panel with the church's mission statement. This would not be an electronic message center. The proposed sign would face north-south and be located north of the southern driveway, which you can kind of see on that sketch, which lines up with 50th Avenue West on the west side of 9th Street West, and it is proposed to be set back 15 feet from the west property line and approximately 30 feet from the north edge of the driveway. Under Section 4-460.7.14 of the general sign provisions, signs in residential areas and signs facing residential areas shall not be illuminated unless approved by a conditional use permit. Under Section 4-460.0.1a, except provided as a conditional use permit, maximum sign area may not exceed 32 square feet with a maximum height of 8 feet. Similar applications have been approved for illuminated signs and for increased signage. Several of those signs included electronic message centers, with conditions including limiting hours of operations of the electronic message center from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Again, this is not an electronic message center. Standard brightness limits for illuminated signs vary by jurisdiction. However, it is common for municipalities to restrict brightness levels for the purpose of protecting adjacent properties and maintaining public safety, such as preventing impairment of drivers' vision at night. Sign brightness levels are typically measured in relation to ambient lighting in units of brightness. Automatic dimming can be used to adjust sign brightness based on ambient lighting conditions. Due to the residential nature of the area, staff recommends capping the sign brightness at 0.3 foot candles above ambient lighting levels. The standard is consistent with similar conditional use permits for illuminated signs in recent years that the commission has approved. A conditional use permit agreement is required to be signed prior to the issuance of a sign permit and may include conditions deemed appropriate by the commission. Hearing notices were published in the forum, and property owners within 350 feet were notified, as were applicable agencies and departments. A call was received from a property owner to the south who was concerned with the size and the lighting Calls received from property owner to the northeast along 6th Street West who had questions regarding the request. Additional comments received after the agenda packets were sent out and have been provided to you this evening, primarily asking that the type of lighting be modified, that timers or dimming technology may be used during certain hours of operations, and there were concerns with the sign size. The sign is accessory to the surrounding buildings and appears to be appropriately signed for the area. Public comments should be weighed when considering the application. Staff recommends that the city approve the proposed application on the basis that is consistent with city plans and ordinances with recommended conditions of approval as follows. A signed conditional use permit agreement is received prior to city commission approval. The sign shall be constructed and installed as provided in the plans presented to the West Fargo Planning and Zoning Commission at tonight's meeting. And the sign shall not exceed 0.3-foot candles above ambient lighting, as measured 84 feet from the sign face. This is a public hearing. I'm available to answer any questions, as is the applicant.
All right, thank you, Lisa. Is there any questions for Lisa? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on this. If you wish to speak on it, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record, please. Is there any public comment on this? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Liz Hardy, and I live at 911 Mulberry Lane. Speaking on behalf of many of the residents in the neighborhood, along with, I know our neighbor, they were gone out of town, and they had written in later, the Stager family, in regards to the brightness and size of the sign. We weren't, for one, aware that it was that far south, so it may not affect us completely. We're on the north end of this. However, the size of it is massive, and I worry about like even blocking like kids walking, and I don't know what the future holds for this church, if they're gonna have like a basketball court they're gonna rent, space to. There is a lot of people saying it's just gonna be a Sunday thing. Well, it's Sunday and Wednesdays, it's weddings, it's funerals. There's going to be a lot of traffic. We cannot change that it's there, but we would like to still have it feel like a neighborhood. And I know that the Staker family had sent in a different signage style that would better fit the aesthetic of the neighborhood. We understand that they need, or would like to have a sign, but they did choose to be put into the middle of a fully established neighborhood where I feel like a giant sign is not necessary.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any additional public comments? Yes, ma'am.
Jackie Morris, I live at 4735 6th Street West in West Fargo, just north of the church. Again, questions with the sign and the size and the illumination. 9th Street is not a business street. It does not lead to any it's not a major thoroughfare of the city. Why they need such a large sign for a neighborhood, which we already know they're there. It just seems bigger than it needs to be. When the church was approved, the residents were told it would fit within the neighborhood, and a 12-foot illuminated sign does not feel like it fits within the residential character that exists throughout the wilds. And I think a smaller monument sign that's not illuminated would probably fit better. Again, kids walk down that street to get to school. The school is right kitty corner from the church. It's very busy, kids are playing. It just feels like it's much bigger than it needs to be. We are not wanting to deny them a sign, I just think it needs to be scaled down a bit. So it fits within the neighborhood, that it is a 2-lane residential, 25-mile-an-hour road that no one's gonna be driving down there unless they're in the neighborhood. We know the church is there. I don't know what they're illuminating for. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Are there any additional public comments? Yes, sir.
Eric Wickland, 911 Mulberry Lane. Just to add to that, I mean, as she mentioned, 8 feet tall is what is the current standard, and this is 12 feet. It's an additional 50% bigger than what would be approved, kind of the same thing. The spot that this church is at is massive. There's going to be no denying of people lost needing a sign to find where the church is. Again, I just don't understand why it needs to be that big or illuminated, maybe floodlights pointed to it or like some sort of stone type sign that better fits the neighborhood.
All right, thank you. Are there any additional comments from the public? Yes, sir.
My name is Jason Loney, and I'm a Hope West representative on the project. And the size of the sign is similar to what Legacy Elementary has 2 of on the property. It is 12 by 14. It is face lit, so it's not a fully illuminated sign. I have a rendering of at night what it looks like. It's just the letters that are lit. We did a study of lighting the letters versus having a floodlight on the light, and actually it produces more lumens and reflection to have direct light on it than it does to have channel letters lit. It does meet the requirements for 0.3 foot candles with, so that basically gives you 0 bleed off of the property line. And it is set back on the property and not on the boulevard, so it is not an impediment to the sidewalk or the visibility of pedestrians or of traffic.
All right, thank you. Are there any additional public comments? Is there any further public comment on this item? Seeing none, we'll close that portion and bring it back to the board. Any questions, comments, thoughts?
We go back to the image of the signs, we can just clarify what those lights are, because I think, we have the picture, but I don't know if anyone else can see it. Lisa, can you clarify that?
So the Hope Lutheran lettering and the logo and the worship times will all be internally lit, illuminated. The panel to the left will not be lit.
Okay.
So the area in gray, would that not be lit as well at night?
Just the letters.
Just the letters, right?
Just the letters.
That's all I have.
Morgan, did you have a question?
Just a question from the Hope representative. Were there discussions or a meeting with the community or neighborhood to kind of explain things or address some of those concerns?
No, there was not a meeting. I was invited to the Wilds Facebook page and did put my information on there and explain, the size of the sign that was on Saturday. There were some comments in there. That was the only communication that I had besides the people who had reached out to me through my number. And one other piece to add is that it will be on a timer to be shut off at 10 p.m. every night, so.
Yeah, that was another question. There was a request if it was approved.
Yep.
It would not be all night long.
Right,
And that is
Yeah.
agreeable to the church.
absolutely.
All right, any additional questions, comments?
I guess I would feel it's really big for a purely residential street.
I would like to note that we have had similar requests from other churches. Blessed Sacrament has 2 48-square-foot signs on their property. They're in the middle of a residential area. Prairie Heights Church isn't in the middle of a residential area, but they have a sizable illuminated sign. Triumph Church, Summit Church. There are about a dozen sign requests for, electronic message centers and increased height, increased size that we've received over the years, so.
Yeah, I think
Some-
that's part of some of these previous ones.
The other thing is, it's zoned residential, so we also allow, in our public facilities zoning district, we would allow up to a 96 square foot sign. So some of the school and parks facilities have larger signs in the middle of residential areas. Again, number of them have electronic message centers, but something to keep in mind, this is a 12-acre parcel. So, there is the ability to increase, in other zoning districts, public facilities, there is the ability to increase size as well, so.
How far is the setback from the road?
15 feet from the property line is the requirement, so typically the sidewalk is 2 feet from the inner edge, or the property line is 2 feet from the inner edge of the sidewalk, so about 17 feet probably from the sidewalk. But they have to be at least 15 feet from the west property line.
Plus the boulevard, so.
Yep, so from the sidewalk, there's additional right-of-way, and, usually it's 2 feet, and then that's where the property line is.
All right, any additional questions, comments?
Can I say something real quick? Two of the churches she just mentioned that have bigger signs than residential, Prairie Heights and Triumph. Prairie Heights is on 32nd Avenue. That's a major road. And Triumph is on Cheyenne. Another major road that lots of people drive down. 9th Street is not a big, major road.
All right, thank you. Anything else from the board? This is a action item, so I would entertain motion on it.
I'll move to approve with the listed conditions.
We have a motion to approve with the conditions. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Schwan?
Yes.
Commissioner Amon?
Yes.
Commissioner Weary?
Yes.
Chair Thorstad?
Aye.
Vice Chair Gust?
Aye.
Commissioner Fornes?
Yes.
Commissioner Kopp?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you very much, everybody. Item 2 on the agenda is a public hearing, A26-15, Brooks Harbor 5th Edition, a request for rezone from PUD, which is a planned unit development, to R2, limited multiple dwelling at 2250 5th Street West, Lot 3, Block 3, Brooks Harbor 5th Edition. Lisa.
Thank you. This application was received in order to rezone to allow for residential development. The applicant has applied for approval of a change of zoning from commercial use planned unit development to R2 limited dwelling district. Previous applications submitted and withdrawn by the applicant have included PUD zoning proposals for 3- and 4-plex townhouse-style structures with approximately 50 units. The applicant has submitted a site plan and artist's rendering for illustrative purposes showing 31 slab-on-grade patio homes on the lot following the R2 district standards for multiple dwellings. The property was originally zoned PUD with commercial office park district standards in 2016 to allow for the construction of a child care facility for the Village Family Services. In 2021, a change of zoning to commercial use planned unit development was approved to allow for a 2-ice sheet youth hockey arena as well as for 3 commercial office park buildings. The R2 zoning is intended to accommodate a variety of residential housing types, including single-family dwellings, twin homes, townhouses, and multiple dwellings containing no more than 8 units, along with related uses compatible with residential development, such as religious, educational, and recreational uses. The proposed R2 zoning is a residential district that is generally considered to be compatible with other residential zoning districts. Compared to the development allowed by the existing PUD district, development under the R2 district regulations is anticipated to result in less traffic generation overall. A representative from the West Fargo School District indicated they have no formal comments to submit at this time and will continue to monitor enrollment at as the neighborhood continues to develop. And an email was included in your agenda packet. Public hearing notice was published in the official newspaper. Property owners within 150 feet, as well as applicable agencies and departments, were notified. In terms of comments received, a letter was received asking that the request be denied due to concerns with the R2 zoning allowing for other uses should the applicant not follow through with the proposed development as submitted. An email was received indicating the preference for either homes for sale instead of rental or that the property remain commercial. An email was received with concerns regarding impact to the school, decreased property values, and increased traffic. And an email was received after the agenda packet was sent out and provided to you this evening with concerns regarding traffic, drainage, school capacity, standing water. It is recommended that the city approve the proposed rezoning on the basis that it is consistent with city plans and ordinances. I'm available to answer any questions, so is the applicant.
All right, thank you, Lisa. Any questions for Lisa?
Did you revisit what you said about if they don't follow through?
So if they go with R2 zoning, any of the uses in the R2 zoning district would be allowed. So what they're proposing with their site plan, the patio homes, if they decide that they would rather do townhouses, eightplexes, as long as they meet the district standards, setbacks, and lot coverage, they could construct those.
Any other questions?
Is there any way to impose a limitation that would restrict it to this plan?
I don't believe so. The planned unit development would ensure that what they propose is what they would construct unless they would go through a modification, a new planned unit development.
So they'd have to submit a separate application for a planned unit development rather than just asking for the zoning change?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron, could they request rezoning to PUD, being that it's more intensive? Should,
Yeah, I mean, generally, the R2 district, it's going to allow anything that the R2 district allows, outside of, some type of a, special agreement or something. There's nothing in the zoning code that would allow any additional restrictions. I might look to Katie, our city attorney, if she has anything to add to that, I guess.
No, that's accurate. That would be the way to limit it, would be to remain it as a PUD, and we'd have to amend whatever it was if we were, because it's commercial currently, right? The PUD is.
It's a PUD that allows commercial
allows
uses.
commercial. So if it was a different, we'd have to do some sort of amendment there with their current agreement.
Morgan?
Just wondering if the thoughts of the city were on this proposal. Recommended, not, concerns? Where are things at based on the application?
we are just facilitating the application. It meets the R2, what's proposed meets the R2 district requirements as far as lot coverage, setbacks, density.
Yeah, so I guess where staff stands on this is outlined in the staff report. Generally speaking, the R2 district is a residential district. So again, generally speaking, residential districts are pretty compatible with other residential areas. Some of the main, areas of concern are specifically regarding traffic in this neighborhood more generally, which is not an issue that is unique to this subject property. It's more of a large-scale issue within the whole neighborhood. On that point, the existing zoning allows for, a two-sheet hockey arena and I think 17,000 square feet of office commercial uses. And so, depending upon the type of uses that could potentially be developed under the current zoning, traffic might be a little less, just depending upon.
And the reason I ask is there are a number emails and concerns presented, you know, are they legitimate, are they not? Just wondering on that. And then secondly, I would hope that what's being proposed, there isn't a significant change, because I think people would feel somewhat, I think, tricked into making a decision if they're saying it's this, but it ends up being 8 plexes or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
So that's a challenge.
Absolutely. And, you know, the staff report is written with the understanding that, you know, anything allowed in the R2 district could go there. So we're not looking specifically at, you know, the proposed site plan. We're looking at the zoning district of R2, and we would encourage the commission to, you know, make their decision in that regard as well.
Okay, thank you.
And just a quick follow-up on that. So if the plan were to change, if we were to approve an R2 and the plan were to change, would the zoning commission and the city commission have the ability to revert back to what had been in place before?
No, you know, once, you know, if the R2 district is approved, they can submit a building permit, and as long as the building permit meets all of the requirements of the R2 district, you know, we would have to approve that building permit. They would be legally entitled to develop anything allowable under the R2 district standards. There's really no option for the city to, you know, rezone it back to PUD or anything like that, if I understand your question correctly.
Yep, that's what I was asking. Thank you.
Yep.
Aaron, could I challenge you? Maybe I should write it this way, or say it this way. How many townhome units would you estimate could be put on here at 8 plexes if they got their R2 and they say, now we're going back to our townhome idea? As you say, we're kind of, you know, we're trapped at that point, if you want to call it trap, but they're talking, what, 31 units here right now on this configuration? Would 8 plexes, would that be 48 units, 60 units?
Yeah.
Do you know, based on acreage, or?
It's essentially an equation. They're required to have X number of area within the lot per unit and per bedroom. So a lot of it's dependent upon how many units or how many bedrooms are in each unit. But if I recall, I think the previous proposals that they brought forward in recent years, I think that there was over 4 plexes, if I recall. I think that was getting pretty close to what the maximum, you know, density allowable would be under the R2 standards.
We were over it. We were above. That's why we had to do
Okay, but not much, if I recall. I think it was pretty close to that maximum density. How many units were there before? So somewhere around, you know, just south of 52 probably, if I had to guess off the cuff here.
52 fourplexes.
Units total.
52 units.
So
Yeah.
So, and this is 31, is it? Is it not?
it's 13 units if I'm doing the math.
Yeah, times 4, yeah.
Divided by 4.
Times 4, yeah. 13 fourplexes. All right, any additional questions or comments before we open up the public hearing? All right, we'll open up the public hearing. Is there any public comment on this item?
Hi, my name is Sarah Griesbach. I live at 606 23rd Avenue West. I'm one of the property owners along this parcel. And as you guys have been discussing too, the openness, in past years it was 3 plexes and 4 plexes that were proposed, quite close to our property lines with decks that would be overhanging. Then another proposal they hadn't pushed back. When we met with Ryan from a representative of the ownership this spring, he talked about slab on grade and then multifamily within. And they said if that didn't go through, then they would propose shop condos. And in that image, the dumpsters are right by our house, or by mine and Anthony's house next door. And now we're here. So I mean, just this year I've heard 3 different options. So that's why in my email too, I talked about the openness being a big concern because we're talking about the zoning, not that specific plan. So I hope you continue to consider what it could be after today, because I've heard 3 different plans this year already. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment? Sir.
Ryan Downs, I represent the landowner here as the developer. And just a couple things, the way we approach this site, there was community outreach, especially to the 6 neighbors directly to the south of the property. I reached out to all of them via mail, email, and phone call, I would say back in March of this year. And the idea there was that those property owners right on the south side adjoining to the property line are probably the most impacted on this site. So I really wanted to get their opinion and really start the conversation of what do you want to see here? It was an open-ended forum, and so as Sarah mentioned, we did put some site design out there. There was a higher density count on this property. But, it was more about trying to get the feel for what everybody wanted. And I would say the manifestation of what you see today really is from those comments that we received from everybody. The one thing I've learned of developing land like this is you can't please everybody, and it's a little bit of whack-a-mole. Somebody's happy, and then you go out and do that iteration of it, and then it might displease somebody else. I heard 3 common things when we were looking at this from everybody that we talked to, including the city staff, and that was the traffic. Traffic in this area is an issue for us. I would say the Brooks Harbor Elementary School population was a concern of people, and then really what is going to end up on the site, whether it's a commercial development, whether it's a residential development, and then what does it look like? With those 3 things, traffic, I would say if we look at this site plan, and I can elaborate more on that in just a second of how we arrived here, but it's really one of the lowest trafficked opportunities that this site could potentially have. I mean, with 31 units, and the concept of this is a patio home, a slab-on-grade home, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. It's catering to a specific buyer, right? So, I mean, somebody that's potentially an empty nester, people that typically wouldn't have kids. That's the appeal, and there's not a product like this in this area of West Fargo. And I think you've seen it in different parts of Horace, and even in the wilds in West Fargo has a senior living type concept. You don't see a lot of kids in those communities. So that in itself, you're not going to see a lot of traffic during peak times of travel, so between 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. And then assumingly there wouldn't be a whole lot of children living in here. And we did a traffic study in 2021, and the traffic count on the 17,000 square foot commercial use of this property would have brought in about 660 cars per day of in and out migration. And if you take this in a worst case scenario, we're looking at probably 3 to 4 times less than that from a traffic impact. So it is a responsible use of the property. As far as the school district goes too, I mean, my wife is actually an administrator in the West Fargo School District. I hear this every night when I come home about how crowded our schools are. I mean, there's really nothing we can do about that. That's a school district issue, and if we really wanted to stop the in-migration into West Fargo, we just have to stop building. But I have confidence that the school district is going to handle that and take care of that and continue to do what they need to do in order to give our children an education. So as far as the zoning, I understand what's being said, and I get it. Trust is hard to earn in these types of situations. I represent the landowner who also owns a lot of other pieces of land in West Fargo and also operates a business in West Fargo. And then the home builder that we've selected here also does a lot of business in West Fargo. And it would be really damaging to that reputation if we were to go back on our word and change something like this as we presented it. Part of the reason why we did not do a PUD is because there's no assurance on what the outcome of this discussion is today. And I get that. And a PUD is an exhaustive process with a lot of dollars and a lot of time that goes into it, and it could just go to a dead-end street. The other component to that is that going through this process tonight and then presenting to the city commission hopefully in a month would allow us to move forward with this plan yet this year. So I mean, for what it's worth, this is what makes sense. And truly, at the end of the day, we wouldn't have arrived at this product if we did not have the feedback from the residents of the neighborhood or from the city staff. So in all honesty, I mean, it actually worked out the way that I feel like everybody wanted it to work out to an extent, right? Nobody's getting everything they want, but this really, at the end of the day, I think is a really good solution on how this site could be utilized. So, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have to.
And engineering has no trouble with the 9 different accesses from that road?
So that was part of the conversation with the city is according to the city's 2.0 plan, they prefer to have the front entrances facing the primary street. So that's, I believe that's kind of how we arrived at that.
So
And that would be consistent with the houses just to the south of that property.
So you're saying that you seem content to stick with the 31-unit plan here as opposed to a higher density?
I think it's great because at the end of the day, again, it's a product that's different and unique within this area of West Fargo. These would all be under a homeowners association. It has to be. And that's why we're seeking the R2 zoning is for all this to be into one, essentially one unit where we can put these in, provide a homeowners association, because that's the concept is a low maintenance living, basically for people that want to have the uniqueness of a single family home, but don't want to have the snow removal, the lawn care, and all the maintenance that goes with it.
Thanks.
Yeah, just to verify, you've answered a lot of good questions. Both the developer and the company that would be building these are local West Fargo businesses, they're not?
Yes.
Okay, so obviously that, when you mention reputation, kind of your word is your honor. This is really what you, after taking a lot of input from people, this is kind of the plan that you feel best serves this community.
And I hang my personal reputation on it too. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time and I don't want this to be on my mark to go out there and say one thing and do something different. Brookstone Properties, who would be the builder on this, has done a considerable amount of work in the area, especially in West Fargo. They don't want to be a part of something like that. And Magnum Properties is who owns this. The owner of Magnum Properties is Magnum Electric. And that's a big business in West Fargo. And so that's just something we don't want to have a track record of going against a handshake. Our word is what our word is.
Okay, thank you very much.
Did you get any public comment when they were going to build a hockey arena here?
I actually wasn't around then. That was quite some time ago.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Sure.
Is there any additional public comment?
My name's Craig Griesbach. I live at 606 23rd Avenue West. I'll be on the back side of this property. I just want to say Ryan did a great job of reaching out to the residents. Our biggest concern is this property's seen multiple iterations of different ideas. To answer your question, the hockey arena met with us. I think they had a good plan, but that fell through. And us as residents, that's our biggest worry with the R2 zoning change is we don't want to run into a bait and switch situation and have something fall through and then they can put a bunch of eightplexes in there or something like that. So that's kind of where we're at. We like the plan, how Ryan presented it. Our biggest concerns were setbacks from the homes, which he addressed, the slab on grades. The plan's great. We just don't want to get in a situation where we're showing one thing and it gets switched around on us. So, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Joel Knutson, I live at 510 23rd Avenue West, right, and my property is one of them that goes right up to that plex. So our biggest concern, traffic notwithstanding, because traffic's always been kind of crazy on this road, especially with the Just for Kicks studio, the school there, all that stuff. But I think the greater concern dealing with vehicles is parking. When you're renting out these homes, yes, they are going to park in their garage, they're going to park in their driveway, but you don't know how many tenants are necessarily going to be there, how many vehicles are going to be there, and then where they're going to park. Well, the overflow parking right now is our street. Anytime Just for Kicks has any type of, show or audition thing, our street is full of cars all the way down. And that's public parking, that's fine, but that's going to affect us, I think, here. That's the only overflow parking there is in this area. That's why I personally would prefer it to stay more on the commercial side of things, just because commercial, even though traffic might be greater technically, there would be parking lots at least. So the parking wouldn't be overflowing into our street where parking is already very limited. The other thing that we would prefer, even if it was residential, that they would be all single-family homes, or single, like, kind of like you guys had with your slab on grade, versus the rental properties. Rental properties have a transient nature to them. Some people are going to live there for a long time. Some people are going to live there for 9 months and then move out. It doesn't really make it feel like a community when you have that transient population, and renters don't always have that additional buy-in to your community or to your neighborhood to support it, to take care of it, to keep it clean, things of that nature. I know there's nothing we can technically do about that, right? Renters are renters, and you can't select, you select based on a criteria, and sometimes you're going to get great renters, and sometimes you're not going to get great renters, and it is what it is, but that's why our preference would be that they all are homes for sale versus a rental property in that case. So that was my concerns.
Thank you. Any additional public comment?
Commissioner, this isn't really, I guess, per se, a public comment, but Jerry Wallace, the city engineer, there's been a lot of discussion on traffic tonight, and I do think it's worth just saying that the engineering department has been aware that for many years, that essentially this, the Brooks Harbor, Eaglewood subdivisions, essentially just have one road to filter out onto Cheyenne Street. And for years, it's been congested. We've dealt with it to this point through adjusting signal timing, at the signal on Cheyenne Street. But I think it's worth pointing out, with this additional development activity, we don't really feel that it's going to, affect the current traffic conditions in a statistically significant way, which is probably a fancy way of saying the traffic doesn't work the greatest right now, but, it's probably not going to affect that much. I would like to point out, though, that, nothing is in the capital improvements plan at the moment for the next 5 years here, but we have had discussions about trying to increase the capacity on 26th to be able to move more traffic through there. I think a neighborhood like this will likely add to the traffic trying to enter 26th on, I believe it's 5th there, until people probably eventually figure out that, you don't always get the North Dakota nice person to, let you in, and they may end up finding out that they have to go back and loop around through the two roundabouts. But again, one thing we're looking at is expanding the capacity at 26th there. A more recent study suggested that we explore potentially connecting 22nd across the diversion and tie it into Christensen Drive to be able to access the signal there. But of course, that work would potentially come when the bigger diversion is in place and in effect, and the current diversion functions more for local drainage. So I guess with that, essentially the traffic concerns that this will add will be minimal. We understand there's already, issues on 26th, but we're looking at plans to try to address those things at some point in the future. Is there on-street parking on, is that 5th? I believe on one side there is, yes. Any other questions about anything?
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Any additional public comments? Last call, are there any public comment on this item? Seeing no more, we'll close that portion and bring it back to the board. Any questions or comments?
Just a clarification, are these homes for sale or are these rentals?
They would be both.
Okay, thank you.
And just to clarify, I'm sure our city attorney could back me up on this one. We can't control whether it is a rental or, because anybody could rent their property in town if you want to. That's just the way the law goes, so you can't regulate whether they are rental or for sale.
Not in that term. We have the short-term rental ordinance, obviously, which may add something to it, but no, not whether it can be rental or owned.
And just for the record, I know there are there is a mix to the south of this area. If you look, there's a lot of single ownership, and there's also corporate ownership and within the single and townhomes to the, right in this general area. So it's not unusual, and you can have good renters, you can have good homeowners, and you can have bad homeowners and bad renters too, so. All right, any additional comments?
I will move to recommend approval because of your statements. I trust you. The people in the back seem to trust you. And I hope you follow through on this. You gave an excellent presentation. I appreciate it. Thank you.
A motion to approve, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Morgan. Any additional comments or questions? I'll just reiterate Dave's thoughts. I think it looks like a good plan now. I hope you don't sell the property to someone else and they have different ideas, and I think we'll take you on your word that this is what's going to work for you and work better for the neighborhood than other options, so thank you. All right, guess we'll roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Schwan?
Yes.
Commissioner Amman? Yes. Commissioner Weary?
Yes.
Chair Thorsted?
Yes.
Vice Chair Gust?
Aye.
Commissioner Fornes?
Yes.
Commissioner Kopp?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you very much, everybody. Okay, on to item number 3, which is A 26-14 Midland, 3rd edition, a request for right-of-way access along the south property line onto 7th Avenue from 805 7th Street Northeast. Lot 1, Block 3, Midland, 3rd edition. Lisa.
Thank you. This isn't a public hearing. The application is received in order to allow full access onto a collector roadway. The applicant is requesting approval for a driveway access onto 7th Avenue Northeast, which is a limited access collector roadway. Section 2-0119 of the city ordinances requires the city commission approval upon recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission for access onto arterial and collector roadways. The applicant is making this request in conjunction with the building expansion at the subject property. The proposed driveway would serve the subject property, as well as provide joint access to the adjacent property located to the east at 702 9th Street Northeast, which is needed to preserve access control for the new roundabout at the intersection of 9th Street Northeast and 7th Avenue. Again, there's some spacing requirements under the subdivision ordinance, which allows spacing of driveways and intersections along collector streets in developing areas, which is 300 feet with a minimum spacing of 150 feet. Due to the proximity of the roundabout, no additional access would be allowed to service this property. The access point in question is approximately 250 feet from the nearest driveway or intersection. Staff has reviewed the request, which meets the minimum spacing requirements as currently outlined within the subdivision ordinance. Applicable departments and agencies were notified and no comments were received. Staff recommends approval. Again, this isn't a public hearing, but a representative of the applicant is here to answer any questions, as am I.
All right, do we have any questions for Lisa, or I guess the applicant is here as well? Hearing none, I guess I'd ask for a motion on this item.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, is there a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any additional thoughts or comments on it? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Schwan?
Yes.
Commissioner Amman? Yes. Commissioner Weary?
Yes.
Chair Thorsted?
Yes,
Vice Chair Gust?
Aye.
Commissioner Fornes?
Yes.
Commissioner Kopp?
Yes.
Thank you.
motion carries. All right, are there any non-agenda items? Aaron?
Just a couple of quick updates. One, Commissioner Joseph Hodge, he let us know the other day he's moving out of the city, so he's resigned from his posting on the Planning and Zoning Commission. So we'll be advertising for that vacancy in the not-too-distant future. And then the growth area plan has been approved by the City Commission. So it's good news to report back to you all, and we're going to be looking to start some discussions internally on the implementation chapter of that plan. Most likely that will look like, focusing first and foremost on the lagoon, the Lagoons property. And then also looking at framing up the scope of work for kind of a comprehensive code update in the not-too-distant future, hopefully starting that project in hopefully early 2027. So something to start thinking about. If there are, issues or things that you feel our zoning code is missing, I hope to have some kind of discussion items on the agenda here, the later part of this year, to start thinking about that. So if you have initial thoughts that you want to run by me, feel free to reach out. So that's what I've got. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else for the good of the order?
Move to adjourn?
A motion to adjourn, is there a second?
Second.
A second? All right, all in favor may leave. All right, thank you.